Good evening. Welcome to the November 28th meeting of the Derry Cooperative School District. I am filling in tonight for Jonathan Dugan, who is out sick. So we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we will start off with the approval of minutes from the November 6th public forum for the new school. I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
First by Kearney,
Second.
second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we had 6-0 on that one. Next, we'll approve the minutes from the November 14th school board meeting. I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
First by Kearney,
Second.
second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's 6-0, a pass. All right, so now we got the, Austin's up, the superintendent statement.
Thank you, David. Tonight, I want to express my deep concern about continued incidents of disrespectful language and false accusations spoken at the most recent school board meeting and at many others during delegates and individuals and other sections of the school board meetings. Delegates and individuals is a time for community members to provide input, share ideas, ask questions, and work collaboratively for the betterment of Derry education. All school board members sit up here listening and taking notes because delegates and individuals is not a question and answer session. As someone who sits up here and listens, I must admit it can be difficult to sit quietly and not comment or even react to some of the untruths and overall negativity. Yes, this can cause administrators like myself and school board members to react negatively, and we too may raise our voices and speak harshly at times. Every one of us needs to positively change the way we communicate with each other and amongst ourselves. While I fully support everyone's right to free speech, it is disheartening to witness a forum that should foster open and honest dialogue and even suggestions for possible solutions become a space where some people express themselves in a manner that is divisive. This type of speech undermines principles of respectful discourse, and it sets a negative example for our students who may be present or watching online. Our children are keen observers of the world around them and notice the way we conduct ourselves in a public forum. This can shape their understanding of what behavior is acceptable. Students need to learn that the foundation of a thriving society lies in our ability to communicate and respectfully disagree with one another. Communication is not merely an exchange of words, but it is a bridge that connects our hearts, minds, and communities. In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to overlook the impact our words can have on those around us. We all are familiar with the power of words to uplift, inspire, or unite. However, we sometimes forget that words can also wound, divide, and isolate. It is crucial to recognize the responsibility that comes with our communication and that we need to strive to use it for common good. This starts with our education leaders, but it also extends to all of our citizens. As publicly elected officials, school board members take seriously all of the responsibilities of the office, and they do have the best interests of our students, their families, the staff, and community members in mind. They support administrators, teachers, and all other staff members in this district so that we can provide an excellent education for our students in a fiscally responsible manner. No one will ever agree with all school board decisions, but please consider how difficult this work can be. Come up to this microphone, voice your opinions respectfully, thoughtfully and with common courtesy, then we can all work for our students, families, and staff to continue moving our district forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Any comment from the board before we move on?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to invite up the next charter school presentation, folks.
Someone has lights on in a car out in the parking lot. Just it's a Ford SUV with lights on. I got a plate number.
Ford?
A Ford SUV 3959816.
Be right back, guys.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hey everybody, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Emily Whalen. I'm the director at Next Charter School. I have some students with me. We wanted to show you what competency-based education means at Next. The name of our school really is what we're all about, preparing people for what they're going to do after high school, and students need to be able to demonstrate skills. We call them competencies at Next. Austin, I think that you just demonstrated competency in English 3.7, and that is to speak purposefully, to communicate ideas, procedures, processes, or positions. That's a skill that we tell our students is going to affect them in the real world. So you just saw it. I'm going to introduce Jessica, who's going to share a little bit about a project, and then she's going to introduce Emma, who they've been working together in an English class right now. So go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, so currently a English class that we have is slam poetry, where we are working on our speaking skills and our narrative writing skills. I'm actually co-teaching and having to write a poem. This is one of the students, Emma, and she's going to be sharing her poem. I am not a poet. I am abrasive, rash, and too hard on myself and others. I expect perfection when I myself am made up of mistakes. I am not a poet. I cannot turn something ugly into a gentle collection of words. To me, it will only ever feel cold and harsh. I would like to be a poet, to be seen as soft, to make my words beautiful, but I remain, as I always have been, trying to be someone I will never understand. Even then, what is a poet? Sometimes I feel like one lying on the warm grass, thinking silently to myself, not speaking to you. Maybe we are all poets, simply some lesser known. I'm not a poet because I'm afraid to be known, to be vulnerable, to have all eyes on me as I spill my guts when I say things I promised I would never speak aloud. I'm not made to speak with emotion, emotions you were never supposed to know I had. I'm not a poet. I do not speak confidently or with passion. I speak with anger. Anger I let out far too late. Misdirected, messy, uncoordinated anger. I'm not a poet. In a world where we need to be louder, I stay silent. From fear of a misstep, from the fear that my mother gave me, in a world where I am always too loud, too abrasive, too much of the spitting image of my father, I can hear them. In every move that I make, I can hear them. I'm not a poet, and you can't make me be. I hear my sister too. Her voice encourages me, my sister, the voice of reason. She's the real poet here, for she lives within me, knows me better than myself. Maybe one day I will become a poet like her. Okay, now Jessica's gonna read her poem. I've noticed that school has been harder. Lately, I've been so deeply exhausted, and it feels like I've been used as a punching bag to my own self-loathing. In the morning, I'm barely awake. In the afternoon, I feel all that borrowed energy going away. Then at night, I can't sleep. As tired as I am, I can't sleep. Instead, I spend the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. sitting in the dark trying to make sure I don't ignore the people I call my friends. Then, from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., I stare at a computer screen making sure I don't disappoint my teachers. Like a 7-Eleven, I'm open 24 hours for everyone else's convenience. Being an adequate student and an available friend is a 24/7 job. I get paid lower than minimum wage and treated like garbage.
My teachers have started saying that I need to work harder, and my friends have been asking me to lay off the English papers because I've stopped making time for them. All I do is make time for others. I throw my dignity through a ringer and watch as the shards slowly disintegrate and melt into a puddle of plastic. I can now be the friend that everyone wants, the student every teacher wants to teach. I can be who people need me to be. I can be the good friend who wipes up tears and rekindles emotions. I can be the friend who sits and listens while swallowing back my own self-worth. I can make jokes that will last for hours, and I can even laugh. I can be the student who answers questions right away and always gets them right. I can pass in assignments that exceed the criteria. I can stay focused in classes and even act like I care. I can be anything and everything. I'm like Barbie. This is everyone else's world, and I'm just living in it. I'm paying my dues so I don't get kicked to the curb where all the other people go when they just stop caring. I need to get my work done. I need to stop bothering other people. I need to start being happy. I need to spend more time with others. I need to start helping people because that is what I live for. But what happens when no one needs anything? But where do I go once people are all done with me? I have no 12-story pink Barbie dream house that has everything I need. Because what I need is to sleep. What I need is to be my own friend. What I need is to feel like I have done something right. What I need is to not hate myself. And what I need is to need me.
So we have one more project that we're going to show you. Go ahead, you guys can go ahead. So this is Mr. Nunnick and Oliver Bride, and Mr. Nunnick teaches physical science classes at Next, and we talk a lot about what hands-on learning looks like. So I'm going to talk about this class while they demonstrate competency. The students in this class have been doing a lot of dumpster diving. Maybe you guys have seen this around Next, driving around, finding big pieces of cardboard. They learned how to actually laminate cardboard together, putting it so that the grain goes in opposite directions. They learned about measuring and construction techniques. And then the final project for the class was to build a chair that doesn't use any glue, that can be assembled and reassembled. Make plans for the chair so that someone else could take the plans home and rebuild it themselves. And so Oliver's putting it together right now, and they're going to test it out in a second. And if the chair works, I think that we can say that they're competent in this project. So we had it down to about 40 seconds earlier. Here's the chair. Maybe a drum roll. Can you guys put? Okay. You want to try it?
Oh, sure.
Dr. Dancy, let's try it out. What do we think? IKEA, we need to give it some name. Yeah, looking good. Look great. All right, well, thank you so much for having us here. We appreciate it, and we look forward to Stella's update.
Thank you very much. That was great. Any questions from the board? Austin, anybody?
I just want to say that that was impressive. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing. I know that there's a level of vulnerability coming up here and sharing your writing, and I'm really impressed, and I thought it was amazing, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Explain, can you come to the microphone, student and teacher? Go ahead.
Who do you want?
Oh, those two.
You two.
I apologize. Yeah,
This is Emma and Jessica.
Emma and Jessica.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Here you go.
So, you do some teaching as well? Explain that.
So I'm a senior. This is going to be my last year. And I actually already took this class. I took it as a sophomore. And the teacher that taught the class was like, hey, I'm going to do slam poetry again. He was like, I have a crazy idea. You want to co-teach? And I was like, oh, sure, thinking he was joking. And then he emailed me the link to the classroom, said I was a teacher. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, yeah.
So how do you see this class now, thinking of when you were the student there and now you're a student teacher? How do you see it? Is it the same or do you see it differently?
I see it in a very different perspective. I can think about how nervous I was, like, first starting to write and then having to present it in front of people. And now I can kind of be like, hey, it's really scary, but it's not that bad. Like, you can do it. I believe in you. And it's definitely, I see it in a totally different perspective than I did before.
So how has she helped you?
She's helped a lot. She just, it's good to have her. I don't know, sometimes it's harder to have your, like, actual teachers look at work, especially like this. So when I have someone who's just like my friend looking at it, it's a good perspective to have. She definitely helps with the presentation part of it too, just the nerves and everything.
So what's the chance that you might student teach?
0. I'll say.
Yeah, yes, but if I asked you last week, what are the chances that you would come and share your poem in front of the school board, what would you have said?
0.
That's great.
Awesome job.
Emily, I just wanted to say that, and I wish the two young men that had done.
They took the chair out.
They put the chair out there. I'm not going to make them talk.
Yeah.
So.
We had many chairs. There's a banana chair, a sectional sofa, a stool, but we figured, I know your time is valuable, but you can come to Next and try out the chairs. Maybe we'll sell them on the website.
I just wanted to say that. Engineering has gone from having to lay a foundation of higher math and hard sciences to looking at it as problem solving, and that's a perfect illustration of problem solving without having to do complex calculations or anything else. And the fact that that's being taught in that manner, I think, is wonderful. So thank you for being here. Thank you, gentlemen.
Great job, guys, and thank you very much for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. Next up, we have Ms. Fitzgerald with the next charter school update.
Hi, I'm excited to be back once again. I'm going to start off with our college comp class, since we're talking about classes. And college comp is where seniors, sometimes juniors, can participate in, I think it's 2 modules long. It ends this module. And it's a series of writing, like a college essay, and you can get college credits for it and actually gain multiple English competencies at once instead of just earning one at a time. And it's very helpful for students who need to catch up, such as me. It was very helpful to see all these like 8 competencies trying to meet, and it's exciting. And I'm gonna get college credits for it, so when I go to MCC, it's easier. And then a part of the college comp, Next was approved, or I think it was like Next students were approved to take classes at MCC during the school day. There is 5 students. Not all of them want me to say their names, and that is okay, but there is Amber, Jessica right here, and then Danny and Kirsten, and Lloyd, who was also joining. And then those you can take there's like any type of classes like business, psychology, anything like that. A lot of them are taking psychology courses because it's what a lot of our students like to go into. And then on November 8th, we're going back a little bit, we had Stars and Snacks, which was a family and friend night where you could come from 6 to 7, and we looked at stars and had some great snacks. And then we started selling raffle calendars, I think a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure the exact date, but I know we ended today. And in the What's Happening email, I know there was 42. I think we definitely sold more than that, but there was 42 so far. They were $10 each, and then people who bought them gain items from the raffle calendar, and then the winners get announced on December 4th and 5th. And then any questions, you can email Miss Hayward at khayward nextcharterschool.com, or org, I think, maybe. I might be wrong. And then we had Sandwich Day was in November, and that sounds crazy, but we had a whole day where we made these little slips, and people could randomly pick one out of it, and it would say somebody's name, what they like and what they disliked, or if they didn't like or didn't dislike anything, they would just put whatever. And then a student would pick one, and then whoever name it had, you would make a sandwich for that specific person. And I did get to participate. I made a breakfast sandwich for Miss Whalen over there, and she loved it very much, surprisingly. That's her favorite types of sandwich, and I didn't know that, but I got it right. And then we're going a little farther back. On Halloween, not on Halloween, but the weekend, I believe, before Halloween, we participated in downtown Derry trick-or-treating and handed out candy to kids in front of Marish and Garish. And then the next school store is reopening on December 6th till the 8th for next students, which there will be like stickers, mugs, pencils, a new designed planner, which seemed pretty cool, or I think it was a notebook. Yeah. And then we're accepting applications for the fall of 2024, 8th or 9th grade students, or maybe even above. If you may know any or know families, let them know. And then you could consider joining us for exhibition night on the December 6th from 6 to 7 at Next. There will be exhibition 1 and 2. Exhibition presents Who Am I and Why Am I Here? They kind of like go into like who they are and why they're here, but like not just who they are. They go into like where their upbringing began and whatnot, what they like and what they dislike. Exhibition 2 presents a topic that interests them. I know one of them is Palestine and Islam, or not Islam, whatever one it is. And then that is all I have.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Good. All right, Anthony, you're up for Pinkerton's update.
Okay, not too much that's new. 12th Night, which is the winter play, that'll be premiering this weekend, December 1st through 3rd. In terms of construction for the social studies building, walls for the first floor have gone up. That's done. Now we're on to the second floor. That'll be taking place over the next few months. And even though the weather is getting cold, you'll notice that there's these, like, I guess, plastic tarps that they look like over it. That's to make sure, nothing's getting destroyed in the winter months with snow and all that. The start time committee met last month, and it was generally positive feedback for school starting later. I didn't participate in the survey myself, but I will say that personally I would be interested in it starting later. I don't know if I'm allowed to share opinions like that, but I am interested in seeing that. And Pinkerton will be used as a polling location on January 23rd. So I think it was supposed to be like a teacher learning day or something. That's being moved to the 26th. Or no, the 26th is being moved to the 23rd because school will not be in session on the 23rd. So any questions?
Why didn't Pinkerton win the playoffs?
I'm very thankful I decided not to go to that game because that was painful.
I was that close to going, and the same thing. I had the same reflection on it. I'm glad I didn't go because I thought if that had happened, I said, I jinxed them.
Undefeated season to get pretty much blown out, so.
Man, tough to take.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Great, thank you, Anthony. All right, before we begin delegations, individuals, I just want to make a quick statement. So I want to take a quick minute and address something that happened last Monday night at the new school presentation. After receiving an inappropriate gesture by a Derry resident who was leaving the gym, I abruptly got out of my chair and was going to head over and have a discussion with them. I decided against it and sat back down. In hindsight, it shouldn't have happened, but I let a moment of frustration get to me. I'm sure most of us can relate to that. I assure everyone there was no malice intended. For the last 20 months, myself, the administration, and board members that I've served with have spent countless hours trying to work through our facility challenges. During that time, we've received many names, like we've been called liars, incompetent, and the list goes on. I hope moving forward we can refrain from personal attacks and move forward with constructive discussion. That's my goal for myself, and I assume the rest of the board and administration, as we move forward. So thank you, and I will open delegations and individuals.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's weird being in here. Mr. Chair, I would like to address the proposal to cut the elementary PACE program that was introduced at the November 21st Fiscal Advisory Committee meeting. In the past, we have used goals such as meet students where they are. The administration last year had a goal to increase and improve differentiated small group instruction. This year's school board goals included provide high quality learning opportunities to all students. I wanted to correct the record one area that was on the presentation. It was stated several times that elementary students don't receive accelerated ELA instruction, and although they don't receive the normal PACE instruction, the fifth graders do receive enhanced ELA instruction. I do not agree with the assumption that elementary students needing accelerated instruction can properly be challenged on a daily basis in their normal classrooms. This is not to say that the teachers cannot effectively teach accelerated instruction. I have full confidence in our teachers' abilities. However, as we all know, the classroom teacher's list of duties has only grown, and I don't think it is feasible within the teacher's time constraints to challenge these students on a daily basis. Certainly, it would be difficult to maintain an equitable advanced instruction across the district in the regular classroom. As stated in current and past goals, it was never the intent of the board to cut programming for any group of students during the reorganization efforts. In fact, it was just a few years ago that the PACE committee came to the board and requested an expansion of PACE and enhanced learning to more elementary grades. Since then, PACE enrollment has remained pretty steady. It was about 7.5% of K-5 in 2017. It's about 7.6% now. Although the full census is unclear. The numbers of accelerated students in the FAC presentation doesn't include many kids that are pulled out from their normal classrooms, specifically in grades that aren't currently part of PACE. I would like to request that the administration make those numbers available prior to the next Fiscal Advisory Committee meeting. Rather than cut the elementary program, we should recruit more students into these programs, expand to more elementary grades, keep our best and brightest teachers in the accelerated programs, and our best and brightest students challenged on a daily basis. The PACE committee noted many research findings. Part of their goals were to meet the needs of advanced learners and high-achieving students in math and reading LA, provide consistent programs across the district, provide opportunities to solidify and stretch learning for students on the cusp of high achievement. Some of the research highlights they put in Appendix I from that presentation. National research has shown that 84% of classrooms do not differentiate for advanced learners. In clinical and research literature, it was noted that advanced students have needs, concerns, and how they experience learning may be quite different than their typical peers. Furthermore, grouping, such as PACE, is a vehicle educators can use to allow advanced learners access to learning at the level and complexity they need. And more importantly, it allows advanced learners to learn with and make social connections with same-age peers who think and learn in the same way they do. I think this is tantamount to social emotional learning. Finally, the elementary PACE program currently represents about 0.5% of the school budget with 5 schools. Next year with 4 schools, it would be about 0.45% of the budget. We owe it to all of our students, whether they are special education, regular classroom learners, or accelerated learners, to continue and improve where possible our curricular programs during and after the district's reorganization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek. Derek, can you do the name and address for me before you
I'm
leave?
sorry, geez, I've done this for many years. I don't even know how to, Derek Anderson, 50 Stark Road.
Thank you. Tammy, do we have the lights working or no? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Members of the Derry Cooperative School Board, I appreciate the opportunity to address all of you this evening. My name is Dave Levesque. I am a computer teacher at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School, and I'm the first vice president of the Derry Education Association. I am here representing the dedicated educators and staff who contribute consistently to the success and well-being of our students in the Derry Cooperative School District. Although the Derry Education Association requested the superintendent to notify staff prior to the 2024-25 school year plans with the Fiscal Advisory Committee, what transpired last Monday and Tuesday have been quite difficult for many teachers across our community. As you know, some teachers were notified that their positions were changing. Others were informed that they're moving to different schools at the end of the year. And for some are moving to new grade levels as well. As you can imagine, we were just as surprised as the Fiscal Advisory Committee when we heard the plan was not just reorganizing positions, but eliminating positions due to the efficiencies of closing a school. Throughout this process, the staff have been told on numerous occasions that there would be no cuts as a result of a school closing. Perhaps that may still be the case, but at the moment, we have several teachers in limbo without assignments for the 24-25 school year. We understand that the restructuring plan calls for the additional 1.5 teachers to be added in total. 2 special ed teachers, 4 unified arts elementary STEM teachers, 4 math specialists, and 2 math interventionists. However, we have several concerns with the plan that was presented last week. During that meeting, it was often said that the closing of a school created some efficiencies with the remaining schools. This allowed for actions and plan to call for the elimination of social studies teachers at grade 6, resulting in the elimination of 2 positions. The reduction of 6 elementary classroom positions, the elimination of 5 elementary PACE teachers in order to reorganize and create 4 math coaches at the elementary level, the elimination of school nurse position, and the elimination of a guidance counselor due to attrition as well. These are all losses and eliminated positions. I see my lights on if I can request. I'm almost done.
I take a motion to extend.
Motion to give him more time.
First by Kearney,
Second.
second by Brenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Unfortunately, those same efficiencies were not realized within the administration team. The Derry Education Association cannot support the removal of any positions that eliminate teachers, counselors, and nurses from our classrooms and schools. We strongly feel that the best use of our resources is having boots on the ground and hands in the classroom, working directly with students. Instead, the district planned to retain an administrative team that reorganizes the Director of Curriculum and Grants and creating 2 administrative positions with a price tag of about $250,000. A Director of Elementary Learning, a Director of Social Emotional Learning are all in consideration. Equally concerning is the fact that despite the shifts, we have observed a disproportionate increase in the administrator's 3% wage pool over the past 3 years, some exceeding 6% annually. This raises the questions about the allocation of resources and whether the priorities align with the best interests of students in our community. We urge this board to recognize these decisions and to prioritize the needs of our students and educators. Our goal is to maintain a balanced and supportive learning environment that fosters success for all. We believe that a fair allocation of resources coupled with a commitment to the professionals in the classroom will lead to a stronger, more effective educational system for our community. Next year is going to be a tough year with our transition, and we need all the help that we can get to make sure that we reach all staff members, all students during that transition. In closing, the Derry Education Association remains committed to providing the best education for all children who enter our classrooms. We appreciate your dedication to our schools and the difficult decisions you face. We trust that together we can find solutions that prioritize the well-being and education of our students. I thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Good evening. Sorry to take so long getting up here. I should learn to sit in front. I got 3 things to talk about today. For those of you that remember Mary Ann, she loved her acronyms. I was at the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission meeting today and had to listen to a presentation. I was in acronym overload before it was over, so thank you guys for not using so many acronyms anymore. Second thing, it was interesting at last Monday's meeting. I finally learned what the difference between repairs and renovation is. There was a question that was asked about why the cost of repairs is so much lower than the previous estimate for renovations. And that's when the superintendent said, well, the repairs are just going to make the schools habitable and safe for the students, whereas the renovations are what's required to make them ready for to be a next-gen classroom. And so I thought that was interesting because there was another question that asked, what about the students that don't get into the new school? You know, they're not going to be in a next-generation classroom. And I guess, you know, if the school board goes forward with their plans to do the renovations, eventually the schools will be all ready for next-gen classes. My last question is, prior to the meeting on the 20th, I sent an email to Kathleen asking if I could get a draft copy of the questions and answers for the from the meeting on the 6th. And she said there are no written answers or questions. So that kind of got my interest piqued. And I went to look at the, did you put that on yellow? It wasn't green before. You're being mean. All right.
I'll
So
take a
anyhow-
motion, I'll take a motion to extend Richard Tripp's time.
Motion to approve.
All right, first by Kearney, second by Jason, all in favor? Aye, thank you.
All right. So anyhow, I went back and looked at the video from the 6th, and I found there was 46 questions. And then I went back and looked at the video for the 20th, and it only appears that were 20 answers. So either I thought there were more questions or there were more answers, but I still would appreciate if the school board could provide a list of the questions and the answers. Thank you.
We're in the process of doing that.
Okay.
Good evening, Butch Tempe Bowers Road. Just a couple of points. First of all, I agree 100% with what Derek said to you all tonight. I really hope you consider that. You know, that program is phenomenal for our students. Secondly, what Richard Tripp was just talking about regarding the questions. I noticed when I was watching the video, there were a lot of questions that were, when they were read back in the presentation, were not accurate. They weren't the same way it was phrased, or it was missing pieces here and there. It's very easy to go back and watch a video. I understand taking notes, you may not catch everything, but I caution you on not going back and watching video because you may miss something live, okay? And then regarding the teachers, when this whole process started about new school, closing schools, we were told that teachers wouldn't lose their jobs. We were told that during school board meetings. And then we were told, well, you know, we still need teachers in other places because we have a teaching shortage. What happened to that? Now we have multiple teachers who have no clue if they're going to have a job next year. And to boot, they found out right before Thanksgiving. Horrific. But if you go back just a year or so ago, we were told teachers weren't going to lose their jobs. Again, I'll ask, what happened? You keep asking us to trust you guys, to put our faith into what you're telling us, and then things like this happen. And you wonder why we get so upset. That's why. You expect us to believe every word that you say. And I'm fine with doing that. I want to trust you guys. I give you guys a lot of money. Taxpayers give you guys a lot of money. We want to trust you. But you got to help us trust you. And not only that, when we continue to get told one thing, but other things happen, then you wonder why we call you guys liars. You want respect? Earn it. Be honest with us. Tell us, hey, you know what? We have no clue what's going on right now, but we're trying to figure it out. That would be a lot better than what you guys are giving us right now. I would like to know what changed regarding the teachers. We were told no jobs would be lost, and that has changed.
Trust me. Answer next time.
That's fine.
Anybody else? All right, I guess we're going to close delegations and individuals and move to the restructuring plan. Austin, what updates do you have?
Sorry, I got a note. I didn't hear what you said.
That's for
Just
updates.
moving on to the restructuring plan, any updates there?
Okay. Joe Crawford sends his regrets, not feeling great. So a portion of my superintendent report was concerning a little bit about the teacher's situation. So as soon as I find that paper, I will read that section of my soup report. Okay. Prior to Thanksgiving break, we notified the professional staff of their preliminary 2024-2025 school year job assignments. The reason assignments are preliminary are many, and the list includes, but is not limited to, all of the following, of which the DEA leadership was told, although was not communicated here, so I will communicate it now. Once again, some teachers given an extension on declaring retirement will have until December 1st to decide. So we have a number of teachers who are thinking of retirement, but we gave them until December 1st as an extension, so we have to wait for that domino to fall, whether or not they're staying or going. If they're leaving, that may open up a position. If they're staying, they'll stay in their preliminary assignment. The budget still needs to be completed by the school board at the end of their final meeting of the Fiscal Advisory Committee in December. The public hearing is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, at the Municipal Center. The deliberative session is set for 10 a.m. Saturday, February 3rd, at West Runningbrook Middle School in the gymnasium. The town vote on the school budget is not until Tuesday, March 12th. beyond retirement. There is attrition as some employees leave for a number of personal reasons, and it is still just November, and contracts are not distributed until late April. Please understand the complexity of these decisions and the months of time and effort that went into listening to teachers, looking at their certifications, 2 to 3 different surveys of preferences that were painstakingly gone through. Every single person that has an assignment got at least one of their 3 preferences. Now, some people put down, their first preference was the same as their second and third. If we could do that, we did that. And I understand this idea that we may have said something very close to the Thanksgiving break. We were hoping to do it sooner, but trust me, the teachers wanted to find out as soon as we had the information, and we would be getting a lot more negative feedback if we held off telling them just because there was a holiday coming up. This process took months of work by the SAU leadership and school personnel and input from the teachers. And it took into account their certification, their personal preferences, the number of staff surveys, the needs of the students, staff, and district. And at this time, there are approximately 12 employees who did not receive a preliminary assignment, as well as another dozen or so employees who are currently in a position that is being considered for elimination next school year. But just like anything else, some positions are eliminated, some positions are added. It's a change of positions, but the net overall is still an addition of 1.5 teaching positions. We still believe, because of all these things, that most, if not all of these employees, including those who do not have a preliminary assignment, will have an assignment once we get through this process. Those people whose job changed or we eliminated a position, even if they had a preliminary assignment, and those that did not have a preliminary assignment were spoken to personally. Members of the SAU leadership team went to their school buildings, pulled them aside privately with the principal, sat down, and had an open conversation with those individuals. Not like some districts that make this decision in April, because trust me, I heard from some of those people thanking us for what we did when they were in other districts and they were told in April that a school was closing and their job was changing and they were going here and they were going there. We have worked with the DEA leadership, and we have worked to try to make this difficult situation as smooth as possible. But you need to understand the amount of moving parts that we're dealing with through this whole process. So I'm going to say it. There's certain individuals, you're never going to trust us. No matter what we do, no matter what we try to do, no matter what we say, no matter how transparent we can be, we're just feeling a lot of lack of trust, and we're sorry for that. But we are going to keep doing what we're doing, advocating for students first, staff members. People need to remember that we are responsible for every single human being in the Derry Cooperative School District, for the families of those people and the Derry community, and I swear we take that seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Any further discussion?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the PACE program. I'm definitely concerned that we're talking about eliminating the PACE program from the elementary schools. I understand the argument from the budget meeting that it is, it's really only going to be the fourth grades at the elementary that are PACE. The third grade is enhanced math. But I feel that that is an important program to have. The kids really benefit from it. Full disclosure, my son is in PACE this year. He was in enhanced math last year. And I think it would be a real disservice to the kids to not offer that program in the elementary schools in some capacity. If we can have a discussion of what that looks like, I would love to have that discussion, but I have a real concern with not having that program at the elementary school level.
I agree. I saved my PACE discussion for the budget meeting, but I pulled this out from last year, the reasons that we should have PACE. And we've forgotten about that this year, which is really disappointing. We have children who need PACE. I understand the enhanced curriculum. I understand we have competencies. I don't know where any of them blend together anymore. Competencies should be showing us where our kids are, or not us, the teachers. So we're taking away a program and changing it. We're expecting that the new programs that are being proposed are going to be accepted by the Fiscal Advisory Committee. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We're putting a lot of ifs in baskets, and at the end of it, our children. And I understand you're doing a lot of work, but it's your job. So I don't know how to fix that. I have one suggestion: stop the reconciliation or consolidation of the district. Go back to K-5, 6, 7, and 8. Move forward from there. If there's going to be a new school on the ballot, then put the new school on the ballot. But stop all of this other stuff. That's my answer. Thank you.
I equally have concerns about eliminating the PACE program, and I feel like since a lot of us have spoke on this and a lot of community members have reached out, I feel like just a little bit of explanation on that thought process and the pros and cons and how we plan to provide that education to those students, just so that at least we have a better understanding of where you guys are coming from and why you feel like this is the best choice. I trust that you didn't make that lightly and that you have the facts behind you. I'd just like to understand that a little bit better.
Really? One shot? So, please tune in next Tuesday. We will be delving into this deeply. What I think keeps getting forgotten is everybody focuses on the word elimination, and they don't focus on the addition. So, change is hard. How many times have I said that since I've been superintendent? But we do believe that we can service those children, as so many other districts across this state do. And again, we're adding fifth grade ELA. We will have a 4-year PACE program for both ELA and math, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, with the understanding that they will do 5 years in 4 years, and for something like math, have the opportunity to start it in high school with Algebra 2. And what you'll hear on next Tuesday is how we believe we can service those children in a different way than what we have been doing. But what many other districts have been doing for a long time. So we've got some work to do to get our presentations and information and so forth together, which we will do for next Tuesday's Fiscal Advisory School Board meeting. So please tune into that. But again, it's very easy to focus on what's being eliminated. There's a lot of additional things that we're looking to do. And once again, we are doing it because we wholeheartedly believe it's what's in the best interest of students.
I think that, notwithstanding everything that's been said, that everything's about show me the money. If we had unlimited money, I don't think we'd be having this discussion right now. It's a matter of going through the budget and trying to cut costs and things. Some things that are worthwhile seem to be cut and others don't. We have students, more than just a few, we have students that get sent out of district because they have programs that are mandated. Some of those students across the district, upwards of $100,000 per student to send them out of district. That's necessary because of the educational needs of the student. I understand that. But I think if we have students that are in programs that they're benefiting from, and we can see the evidence of that, and I think that if it's a situation where all of a sudden we open the pot of gold and we wouldn't have that problem anymore, I think that we need to find a way to make that stay, and not, with a nod to Austin, I'm not going to say eliminate, but not reconstruct the same model if the model that we have is working currently. So.
I guess what I would add to that is, to Derek's point, it's, what do you say?
Mic's not on.
What I would add to that is, to Derek's point, it's what, 0.5% of the budget, which off the top of my head, with that $500,000 probably roughly. But to Austin's point, let's see what they come up with on the 5th, and we'll have a robust discussion on the 5th and talk about it, and give them the opportunity to present what they want to present, and we need to take it all in and really have those intense discussions at that time. But what I will say, Austin, if you do us a favor, for this meeting where there's a lot of very, very, very important decisions being made, we need to get the information on Thursday or Friday, the previous week. Because, obviously we want to be prepared for the discussions that we're going to have. They're going to be hard discussions, and we just need to be thoughtful in the answers that we give and decisions that we make. And yes, I'm very interested to hear more about the PACE discussion and how we move forward, because I've been a big advocate of the math interventionists, and I think we need to make sure that we're providing resources for math, whatever it looks like. You're presenting to us, so we'll look at that. And we did mention that we want to reinvest all the savings, whether it's facilities or education, from the Derry Village closure. And when we say reinvest, I'm talking about every single dollar. So I think we had $373,000 left over from the last meeting. So let's really dig into that and figure out what the allocation of that money looks like, and let's make sure that that we make the right decisions and as we move forward. But it's really important that we get that information ahead of time so we can be prepared, which I know you will. And I think we got a lot of work in that meeting to really come to a consensus of where we want to head district ahead. And we've heard very compelling arguments from Dave, from Derek, Butch. So I think we need to take that all in and figure out what's best for our children, obviously. And more so than any other year, it's important that we get it right, and with all the, irons in the fires that we have. So I look forward to that meeting. I think, it's going to be a very good discussion. And I think if we have that information, we'll be prepared and ready to have productive meetings. So thank you.
David, I just had one thing to add with regards to PACE and some of the other curriculum-related focus with, the restructuring. Has the committee been a part of the discussions, the curriculum subcommittee been a part of the discussions around some of the changes or additions or removals? I think moving forward, just it might benefit to have a little bit more open dialogue between the board and the administration, starting with that curriculum committee. To provide any input or thoughts prior to a lot of the information coming out or during budget meetings, right? And to David's earlier point of, having it in advance of the meeting so we can review, prepare any questions, and have time to really digest it. But to me, it makes sense that the curriculum committee would be involved in these discussions, and then bring those discussions and kind of bring back some of the recommendations in conjunction with the administration to the rest of the board for discussion. This seems like a little bit of a knee-jerk, like we're kind of trying to go back and be retroactive versus being proactive with all this, at least from the outside, right? So I know a lot of thought, as Austin alluded to, goes into it. A lot of planning has gone into it, but some stuff starts to bubble up, and we're a little bit further down the road on some of these decisions, and now we're trying to backtrack a little bit. So I just think it'd be helpful to have the curriculum, and any committee that's involved in any of these discussions should be taking place, and the meeting should be kind of calendarized out and hammered down. Sorry, Brenda.
No, that's okay. No, I agree with you. It's hard to be, it's hard to be positive about it when you don't know anything about it, right? And it's hard for people to understand what's coming down the road when they see something cut and they hear it's coming, but they don't know what it is. So I understand the frustration of parents, and I understand my own frustration because I don't know.
Right.
And what I see, I don't like because I don't know that there is something better, and I haven't seen what that is. So I agree with you.
All right, thank you guys for that. So let's move on to facilities. You leading us off, or you want me to? Okay. All right, so we have a facilities meeting on Thursday. So there'll be a lot of discussion around, what transpired the last two meetings, and then I think from that meeting, we get to talk about what a communication plan looks like for departments, which I think we all can agree is desperately needed, and then if whatever that looks like for the new school as well. So I think in that meeting, we can have some good dialogue and figure out what the plan is and how do we execute it. And I think from that meeting, we need to have some sort of workshop before Christmas and to get all the board members involved in the discussion and figure out what that looks like and what our roles are in that process from the board, the administration, whatever. So that's kind of the thought right now. Obviously, we'll take the concerns that have come up previously and tonight regarding the second meeting. And then we'll obviously talk about that. And then I think really the next steps is to move forward and how do we get the messaging out there to everybody and what that looks like. That's what I have.
I just have one I've been thinking about this a lot, and you all know that I'm the biggest supporter of the new school. I really do think it is the best for the resources that we have, being able to condense our schools and better use the resources to just everything. But one of my main concerns here is just the principle behind the fact that it's failing to provide the resources to be able to update these, and now we're going to be going and we're going to be putting them on the tax fire station. It already went up $1.32, and I don't love the idea of having to again put in onto the taxpayers for something that the state should be funding, that our state reps should be up at the State House in Concord advocating for Concord. And I have serious concerns of us taking that on ourselves of just saying, you know what, like, I get that we need it, and I get that we're at the point where where we have buildings that are falling apart, and that we need to invest in the future of what this school district's going to be, and that this is a point of that. But just the principle alone of every homeowner in Derry has diligently paid their taxes, and for them to be used in this moment exactly, when your community needs a new school, when your community needs something, that's why you pay taxes, not for a giant ward 3,000 miles away. It's for your community and us. And I hate that then after of again having to raise another dollar, what was it, $1.34? One, as a young person, as a 28-year-old sitting here, I can't live in Derry. I can't live in New Hampshire as a whole. If we're going to keep doing this, we're going to keep kicking our young people out of this state. As much as I want and love this state and love Derry and want to help this state, I can't afford to live here. And we're doing this more and more and more. I have serious concerns about that part of it, and I'd love some response from the committee on exactly what that looks like and why we shouldn't be holding the state accountable. And I'm for putting up an ordinance to repair our buildings. I feel like that we can do, but like, I have serious concerns, and I'm going to be coming on Thursday to your meeting, and I look forward to having a deeper conversation on this, because I think we really need to iron out some details from communication. If we're going to do this, then let's do it the right way. But just the underlining principle of it, of the state has failed to do their duty, and now we're going to make every homeowner pick up that load. I don't love that, and that's just my honest truth. So that's all I want to say on that.
So I don't think anybody that pays taxes in any state loves it, right? And we do pay a lot in property taxes, but we don't have any other taxes to even that out, like other states do. I'm not defending anybody, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that's what we have. We don't have other taxes or other sources of revenue to fund what the state funds. And unless that changes.
It's a failing of the state.
Pardon me?
Finish.
But unless that changes, I don't know how else to get more money for the state.
Have more than no one up in Concord. Right now, we have no one. We have no one making that argument. We have no one advocating. We have people who are actively working against our public schools.
So I don't want to argue
know.
about what people are doing. I'm just making the statement that we have only property tax to fund what our towns do, our towns and our cities. That's what we have in New Hampshire. We don't have the other sources of revenue that other states have. Right or wrong, it is what it is. I'm not going to, my opinion is my own opinion, and I'll keep it to myself. But I think we need to always remember that. If you want something changed, then that's where you have to go with that. You can't blame individuals for not doing something when it takes an entire government to change what is happening. When I first moved here, we had a head tax. That's gone. That would help fund our schools, but we don't have that anymore. I believe it was deemed illegal. So there's things that have been done and things that have changed over the years that also add to the cost. Children moving in, houses being built, and more families moving in to the entire state, not just to Derry. I just think we need to keep that in mind. Thank you.
I'm just not okay with accepting a failed system.
To Brenda's point, she's obviously correct, and so one thing I will say is we've done a good job this year of meeting as a legislative group. I think we've met 3 times since the beginning of the year, or maybe 4 times. It'll be in December. And we've had a lot of these discussions. So we get 3 school board members, 3 town councilors, and 3 state reps, excuse me. And we have these discussions, and we try to brainstorm on other ways to figure this problem out. And one of the discussion point was, I think Jim McCaffrey brought it up, was, when you have surpluses in your budget, you have a mechanism to automatically put it in a capital reserve account rather than trying to go through a convoluted calculation and figure out where it goes. So those are some of the discussions we have, and it comes to the point of planning, right? If we can plan better, if we have a little more leeway to plan better from a legislative perspective, it'd be easier to stash money away in capital reserves like the town. They can say, hey, I want to stash this in a capital reserve, and they have it for the future. Unfortunately, the mechanisms that we work under make it difficult to do those kind of things. But I will say the discussions are very productive. It takes time, right? Nothing happens overnight, but we're talking about the right things and moving in the right direction. We'll just have to see how well it materializes. But I hear your point, and when I was a new board member last year, I felt the same way. But over time, you kind of figure out, instead of talking about the system, let's try to make change and work with people. And I've tried to do a better job of that. And it's one of those things where you live and learn, right? And I think the legislative committee is one avenue. We've done a really good job of meeting and discussing those options. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, and just continue to reach out to your reps and give them constructive feedback and ideas. And, with the I know we're talking about Conval a little bit, so that's, instead of trying to push through one avenue, a previous board went this way, and it worked out. We'll see in the long run if it works out. But so that was another option we took to try to get increased funding. So I think, when you see a roadblock, you got to kind of think outside the box and move in different directions and figure out, all right, if this isn't going to work and it's going to take forever, let's try to figure out other alternatives. 2 years ago, the board did that, and they were successful just recently, and hopefully these meetings that we have in the legislative side will prove to be fruitful. And I will say, it's very good discussion. I'm very happy with them, and I think it is productive. So that's, you're part of it, actually.
I'm a part of that committee.
Yeah,
No.
so I think, like I said, change takes time, and we're having the right discussions. That's the important part, and hopefully we can move the needle moving forward with regards to that.
I just wanted to add that as far as what Brenda said, as far as the tax structure is concerned, that's correct. But there's also some things that were changed this past couple of years, where the New Hampshire business profits tax was reduced significantly, which caused obviously a reduction in income for the state. It was reduced because the current administration feels that taxes are bad and we can experience better growth if we have lower taxes, which would be fine, except that we haven't experienced any growth of any discernible degree that's being returned to us. One of the things that's breaking the back of all local governments is the loss of revenue from the funding of the state retirement system. State retirement system's in less trouble than it was, but it's in a deep deficit, and it's in a deep deficit because not many years ago, but a few years ago, we had an administration in Concord, not representatives, not senators, but an administration that decided to use very imaginative and abstract means to account for their revenues, which included moving some figures, not the money, but the figures around, so that it looked like the state was in much better shape than it really was, by using the state retirement funds to offset some of the debts. Well, when that was revealed and all of the accounting measures that were in place were dissected and reconstructed, and we found out where we really were, we found that we were in worse shape than we thought we were. From a local standpoint, we have local property taxes, and I don't have to remind anyone here that we have that, because I opened that nice little building the other day, and I sat there and I said, I'm going to take a sheetrock knife and open my walls to see where the money is, because I don't know how my house is worth what they say it is, but so be it. That's offset. Residential taxes are offset by commercial development. Within the last week, there again, I opened the newspaper and a big article about the New Balance factory being opened in Londonderry. Londonderry gets it. We don't. We don't. We can't blame anybody for that. We can't blame state reps for that. We can't blame ourselves for that. But we don't get it. We don't get the fact that if you put a large commercial establishment in, yes, it takes some municipal services, but it certainly doesn't educate students. It doesn't do a lot of other things that individual homes do, and it brings in a significant revenue stream. That is where we find ourselves now. We found ourselves in this position because for years and years we had a mentality that we are not going to corrupt our community with commercial development. When we had a mayoral form of government, we had some irascible people in there that basically thwarted any development that was commercial whatsoever. And now we're in this position. All we can do, is not point fingers back or anything, but we can try to look at what was done in error and dig ourselves out of it. Those are some of my observations on the situation as far as the remedies are concerned, potential remedies.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Paul. Appreciate it.
So I'll end on a funny note. At least you don't pay taxes in the state of Massachusetts like I do, as well as my property taxes, so. Yeah. All right. So we got the business administrator's update.
I'll just move over. Okay, I've included in your board packet a financial update, starting with the revenues, and we are right on track. There was really not a lot of activity in the last month since the last board meeting that we presented. I also included in your packet the expenditures by object code, so it breaks down by area of the budget of what we've been spending in the last month since your last update. Again, really no significant changes. And I also included a breakdown of your expenditures based by function code, which is again department, so special education, technology, finance, maintenance, transportation, so on. And I'm going to finish my report, and then I'm going to turn it over to Laura because she has some information regarding special education that she'd like to add to the update. As always, Christina Lebelzik, our Director of Child Nutrition, puts an update in the packet reminding family members that at any time during the school year you can fill out a free and reduced application, and those are available in school as well as online. We continue to note the outstanding meal balances from families. We are at $27,400 in unpaid meals. 66 of those families that owe are on free, 42 families are on reduced, and 338 of those families are on paid status. The food service department are working with families to develop payment plans, and we encourage families to do that. Christina is working on, like I said, families can do a payment plan. She's had quite a few families do that. She's received actually multiple payments in the last week to try to get families caught up on their outstanding balances. She also wanted to highlight that they have brought back Sal's Pizza. They do that for their, they did it through commissary when we were doing COVID, and they were unable to purchase it last year, but they are back using Sal's Pizza, and she is reporting that students are thrilled to have it back, and they are purchasing a lot of pizza, so that's good. Last week, all of the kitchens had Thanksgiving dinner for staff and students, so every year that's a big hit with all of our kids. They love having the Thanksgiving dinner. I think our staff really love serving the dinner. I don't think Austin even knows that I put his picture in the business administrator's update, but Austin was out at the schools visiting the kitchens and made sure that he was out there thanking them for all they do and the amazing meal that they put on for the Thanksgiving luncheon. So I think he would probably agree. I'm not sure if he actually ate one of the lunches, but it looked really good and everybody was thrilled to have it. Follow up on our facilities, West Running Brook. Yale Associates was supposed to be at West Running Brook last week to do the test cuts, the investigative cuts, and because of the weather, they moved that until December 1st. So they will be out there on Friday doing their testing. And Barca, they had the dry system compressor for the sprinkler system was replaced and is in service, and they also repaired multiple leaks out at the school. Gilbert H. Hood, they are scheduling window resealing and expansion joint sealing on the older section of the school, and that was completed during Thanksgiving. Honeywell reached out today to schedule preliminary meetings for the Honeywell ESSER 3 project, so we'll be working on that, and we'll bring that information to our Facilities Committee meeting on Thursday. And we've also been working on some safety initiatives in the school as well using our safety grant. So I would like to turn it over to Laura, who would like to give you an update on some special education sort of funding or ways in which there's going to reduce some costs on our end of the budget.
I actually have some good news as far as some funding that has come through. House Bill 2 was passed this past year, and on July 1st, they started funding students' educational portions of students that have been placed residentially due to episodes of treatment, is what it's called. It's mental health, and there used to be CHINS opportunities, children in need of services. That still exists, but the mental health part of it, they now call it episode of treatment, where they get outside agencies from the state that are involved in the home and really working on counseling and keeping kids safe. There does come a point in some of these children's lives where residential treatment is the best option for them. We in the past have been responsible for, regardless of whether the educational team, school could be great, but if the student has been moved to a living situation that is, an hour and a half away, it makes sense to educate them within that setting, and also for consistency of treatment. So with House Bill 2, the DOE is now funding for those students who have been placed with episode of care. So that is, does alleviate a significant amount of money from our responsibility, and that started on July 1st. So we have finally, DHHS and the DOE, everybody's forms are all set. We've received the forms that we needed to process with the DOE to get that funding back and get that reimbursed. So we were able to start that process this week. So, and the DOE has been very, very helpful in that process. So it's just been trying to get all the agencies to do their part. So I've been able to do mine.
That's great news, Laura.
It is.
Thank you.
It's very good.
Thank you, Laura. Jane, can you do me a favor for next meeting? Or, I think the numbers have gotten a lot better since we looked at this in previous months, so it definitely is a good thing. But just on transportation, when you get a chance, not tonight, I don't put you on the spot, but in the future meeting, can you just kind of go over what's causing the shift there? Because I thought we didn't have the contract set in place right away, but we did see a reduction in the contract, but I don't think we're recognizing, so something must be happening that we didn't anticipate. So whenever you get a chance at the next meeting, that'd be helpful to understand that.
Dave, we can answer that right now.
What's that?
We can answer that right now.
Oh, good.
We had to add more special ed buses for next year.
Okay.
That's the total increase. It was the contract plus the new special ed buses.
I was also curious, just for clarification, the numbers of that you provided, 38 on reduced, are those the currently enrolled, or do we have a number for how many qualify but aren't currently enrolled? You don't have to answer now, I'm just curious.
The numbers that I'm providing here are what make up the outstanding balance of the 27,400.
So they qualify, but
This could be money that they owed from last year, could have been before they qualified. Yeah, so that's just the outstanding debt from the prior year.
okay, thank you.
And at the last budget meeting, I believe I gave out what our free and reduced enrollment numbers are, so I don't
I
have
did take a
them.
look at that,
I
yeah.
don't have them, but I can give
I
another.
have that, yeah, I can
Okay.
just, if it's there, just point me in the right direction.
Sure,
Perfect,
and
thank you.
for next month's business administrator update, I'll make sure that we have another update of free and reduced. Not getting in as many applications right now, so, you know, we're hoping that people will continue to do so. But the
is
ones that
there-
are coming over are, for the most part, they've been people who have qualified.
Is there an active list going of like, here are the people who are qualified but haven't applied and never applied, and is it legally allowed to reach out to them?
We can reach out to people, but I wouldn't know if they qualify if they don't apply.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So, you know, and people have had family situations where they've lost employment.
Yeah.
Both people have become unemployed, so we've had people who have been applying that probably wouldn't have applied when school first started at the end of August, beginning of September. So we just want to.
Go out and apply, please.
And it's so, it's
Just go
so
out and apply,
important
just try.
because there's many reasons why free and reduced help the school districts because of, it is, a lot of our federal funds are based on our free and reduced numbers, as you know. And also, we don't want families to fall behind and owe money when in reality, they're probably qualifying for free and reduced. I think there's some families still feel this stigma to apply, and they don't want to, you know, put that out there, but it is all confidential. There's only 2 people who see those applications. They have to be kept confidential. We also get direct certified list from the state that means that people don't even qualify. They're qualified through the state. And then we also encourage the threshold for free and reduced with a school district is higher than the SNAP program through the state. That threshold is a little bit higher. You can have more income and still qualify for those benefits. And if you qualify through the state, you become direct certified, which that list comes to us directly from the state. So if you received a letter back from us that says you did not qualify for free or reduced, please apply for SNAP through the state. You may qualify through that, which then comes back down to us.
Well,
It's kind of strange that the threshold is different, but it is.
Well, y'all heard it here. If you want to help our public schools, go apply for free and reduced lunch for your kids.
Jane, do we include the information about SNAP in the letter if they don't qualify through us?
I know Christina put something out there recently, because somebody brought it to our attention. So I think she did put something out there, but we can certainly get that out there again.
It'd be good to include that information for people, so kids aren't going hungry, especially where there's such a difficult cutoff for families who are trying to work and keep their head above water, and they just don't make that number, because I think it's pretty low. But anyway, it'd be great if that was included so people had another avenue to take.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for reminding, Brenda. And the families who, when Christina's reviewing that application, if they are on the cusp, she is having a phone call with them to let them know to apply at the state, to try to help them out. And I didn't mention in my food service report, but I was working on the claims for the FFVP, which, if you remember, that's the free fresh fruits and vegetable program that we're able to serve in our schools that have the highest poverty. And this year, We have Grinnell, Barca, and Derry Village who all get to participate in the fresh fruits and vegetables. And while I was working on the claims, it's unbelievable the variety of fruits and vegetables that our cafeteria staff are sending out to all the classrooms. So it is, the students in each of those schools get a fresh fruit or vegetable 1 to several times a week. So it was pretty awesome. They served different tomatoes, different grapes. They were doing cauliflower, broccoli, dragon fruit. Dragon fruit wasn't even on the state's list, so we had to put that one in as an other, but their kids are being able to try different things that maybe they haven't tried at home. And there were some fruits yesterday that I've never had a dragon fruit. And so there were things that we've never tried, and we're really happy that we're able to have that program in our schools. Thank you to the food service staff who get that out to our kids every day.
And there's also a lot of learning that goes on with that too, so that it's even better. They're learning about nutrition, but they're also learning about where the fruit came from or the vegetable came from and why it's important and the vitamins that are in it. So it's disappointing that it's not available to everybody, but it's a great program.
I absolutely agree. I just want to thank everyone who worked on getting that program brought in, as well as who continue to work to bring programs similar in. It really does make that difference, and I love everything about it, so thank you.
Brenda, I wanted to point out that on October 31st, we did put out a pretty lengthy thing about SNAP, and we'll do that again this week. We'll repost that on both of our social media outlets. So.
Jane, just a quick thing. I've meant to ask it during facilities. When do we have to vote on the warrant articles by? Is that the first meeting in December, or just some context so when we get into facilities discussions this week, we can kind of keep that in the frame of our minds?
You mean when does the board need to vote to move those warrant articles? Yeah, I would hope before the 19th meeting.
Okay.
Yes, and I had a Zoom call with Renelle from Bond Council last week and talked about the different options, and I actually spoke to New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank last week as well with the rates. I think I gave them out at the budget meeting, and they're just working on drafting the actual warrant article, which we would have that prior to the next budget meeting.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, Jane. Anything left? No? Okay. All right. Next, Austin, do we have any personnel discussions?
I don't have anything specific for personnel, but I do want to point out we have 2 secretarial openings. Very unusual. They're usually coveted positions, both in schools. So if you are looking for a change or looking for something to do, talk to Kathy Kennedy or Mary Ellen Tagliatella in HR. We have those 2 secretarial openings, as well as still 2 special ed teacher openings, numerous special ed assistants, et cetera. So if anybody needs work, please come to the SAU or check in with your school, and they will direct you to the right location. Thank you for that.
Guess we're still with you on the Conval lawsuit.
Okay, this school board, the Derry School Board showed a great deal of courage, in my opinion, in getting involved in the Kentucket Valley School District et al., which they are part of that et al. We call it Conval for short, versus the state of New Hampshire. And we finally got a ruling. And just quickly, I put together a summary and a conclusion. So I'm just going to read those here for a moment. What is the base, and this of course is written by the presiding judge, what is the base cost to provide the opportunity for an adequate education 239 years after the fundamental right, was ratified in our Constitution? The short answer is that the legislature should have the final word, but the base adequacy cost can be no less than $7,356.01 per pupil per year, and the true cost is likely much higher than that. Thus, the current allocation of $4,100, which prior to July 1st, I believe, was closer to $3,500 per pupil, is unconstitutional. In the conclusion, the judge wrote, "For the same reasons articulated in the court's June 5th, 2019 order, the court does not take the decisions outlined here lightly. Moreover, the court recognizes the significant implications of this order and the potential for political strain. However, the court cannot ignore the substantial evidence put forth by the plaintiffs, evidence that amply demonstrate the insufficiency of the existing base adequacy aid figure. In light of that evidence, the state's mid-trial motion for a directed verdict is denied, and the plaintiff's request for a declaratory judgment deeming RSA 19840-A, Roman numeral 2A, unconstitutional on its face is granted. The plaintiff's request for injunctive relief is also granted insofar as the court has established a conservative minimum threshold of $7,356.01, which base adequacy aid funding must exceed, but is otherwise denied. The plaintiff's request for an award of reasonable attorney fees is granted. Lastly, given the timing of this order and the fact that the court is I knew I'd screw this one up, contemporaneously releasing an order in Rand v. State of New Hampshire, finding the state's administration of the statewide education property tax swept unconstitutional. So because of that last piece on swept, I got some information on that. SWEPT stands for Statewide Education Property Tax. And SWEPT requires that all cities and towns collect the same property tax percentage per year for education, an amount set by the Department of Revenue. Towns with high property values often collect vastly more from that percentage than others, and often more than they need for their schools. Currently, those towns are allowed to keep excess school property tax and use it for non-school expenses, meaning they effectively pay a smaller percentage of tax towards schools than less wealthy towns. So meanwhile, those property poor town residents often find the same percentage rate set by the state in SWEPT does not bring in enough to even cover their schools, let alone excess. Those towns must then raise local property taxes higher to compensate. And on a quick editorial, I can see that it would be difficult for legislators in towns like Derry to try to convince legislators in other towns that because they have, maybe the commercial, they have less residential housing and apartments and so forth, and they have a higher tax base and they're wealthier in their property taxes, to then give back some of those monies to a town like Derry that struggles in that area. I would say, and I've heard before people say, Derry has done its fair share of low-income housing, of having a lot of apartments and so forth, whereas some of our other towns haven't really pulled their weight in that area. So some might argue that that compensation could be looked at that way. They have more commercial properties and so forth and more income coming in, and Derry has more of the apartments and some of the low incomes in the residential, and it seems like people believe, and I've heard people from other, I just heard the the head of the chamber, mentioned this at a Derry Village Rotary a few weeks back. And, you know, Derry does take on a little bit more of a burden. Maybe there could be a means of handing that swept out differently, and that might be along with, and we all understand, where is this extra money going to come from? But when you're in a town like Derry with a tax base that it takes double, sometimes triple what it may take in another town, then maybe there's a need to look at that and see if we can make some changes that are fair across the board. That's it on the editorial.
Thank you, Austin. Since you brought up SWEP, Jane, can you, in our next budget meeting on the 5th, can you talk about how SWEP is affecting our current adequacy calculation at our next budget meeting? I know you briefly talked about it last one, but let's highlight that so people understand what happened, the $300,000 reduction that we saw in the revenue, so just so people understand. And one of the things that, you know, it's tough because we spend a lot of time in budget meetings talking about how do we cut to get where we want to be, and spend next to nothing on the revenue piece, which for obvious reasons, I guess we understand why. We've talked about that a lot, but I think it's helpful, Jane, to talk to the group and show them that we just saw a $300,000 reductions this upcoming year. And that's not a state rep thing or anything, that's actually a SWEP thing, right? So it's just something that happened. It's just nice for people to understand it and see, you know, just understand the challenges that we deal with on when it comes to state funding and whatnot, and try to make it work within the constraints of our needs. Austin, you're up for your superintendent update.
Okay, I'll try to remember not to reread the section I already read, but no guarantees. I hope everyone has had a long and wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, which for me is a time to express thanks for life's blessings and appreciate family and friends. In the midst of our busy lives, Thanksgiving provides a set time to press pause, reflect, and to express gratitude. This holiday reminds us of the value of people coming together, bridging differences, and developing a sense of belonging. It fosters a spirit of sharing, encourages generosity, and it cultivates a very deep connection to others. And it seems to me that we need the spirit of Thanksgiving more now than ever before. Thanks to Dr. John Moody, former superintendent in Derry, I am a proud member of the Derry Village Rotary. I joined them this past Saturday of the Thanksgiving weekend, where for the past 4 decades they have coordinated the running of the outstanding Derry Holiday Parade. I was positioned with our 2 middle school bands before the parade and near to all the floats created by our elementary schools. It was great to see the administrators, teachers, other staff, and proud family members supporting their children. The students themselves were so awestruck and excited and happy just to be in a parade. During the parade, I was up front collecting monetary donations for the Derry Food Bank, and I want to thank the Derry community members for their outstanding generosity, along with a great deal of food and canned goods and pasta and so much more. Just walking through that parade, we collected over $2,000. Again, a great big thank you to the Derry community members for their outstanding generosity. What I enjoyed best was talking to our staff, the parents, and other family members present, but most of all, my interactions and conversations with our students. Thank you to all the members of the Derry Village Rotary for their efforts to once again make the Derry Holiday Parade such a big success. Thank you. I think 2 weeks back it was 80% chance of rain that day, and it was cold, but it did not rain. Also thank you to Derry families, our staff, and all of our students who participated. I hope everyone enjoyed the day, the friendships, and the fun. Now I am looking forward and anticipating my discussions with staff and students with enthusiasm when I visit the schools and classrooms in December. This will culminate during the last week before the holiday break when I get to dress up as the conductor from the movie Polar Express and read the story to first graders at Ernest P. Barker. Once again, this was something that Dr. John Moody did for years, and I feel blessed that Judy, his wife, trusted me to take over that role, and I take pride in that role. And I look forward to talking to the, reading to the students as well as visiting them as we get closer to the holidays. Thank you.
I just want to add on to the parade accolades. Derry Village, PTA, and school won first place for their float. So congratulations to them.
All right, so next we have FYIs. So we were given a Pinkerton calendar, and Anthony alluded to the election on January 23rd. So what that means is I suggest we move our board meeting to the 30th. I don't know if you have anyone has any comments regarding that. I don't think it makes sense to have a board meeting on election day.
Yeah, that's
So I don't know if, Jane, do we need a vote for that, or can that something that Austin can Austin just change it? Do we need a vote for that to change our board meeting from the 23rd to the 30th of January? Since there's an election on the 23rd?
I didn't think to check that.
I mean, we don't have to do it today. Just think about it. If we have to vote on it, just let us know. If not,
Okay.
unless anyone has any opinions otherwise, I assume that's not a big change. It's just got to let us know if we need to vote or not on it.
Yeah.
Because we vote on the calendar in general, right? So if we have to, we have to. Just let us know next meeting and we'll take care of that.
Will do. Thank you for catching that.
No problem. All right, committees. So Paul, you got the manifest, right? Well, oh, there you go.
yeah.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I move that the manifest be approved in the amount of $1,921,298.87, of which $1,250,575.26 is general payroll, and $670,723.61 is general expense.
All right, we got a first by Paul.
Second.
Second by Kearney. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6-0. The manifest passes. Any other committee updates anyone would like to share?
Yeah, I'd like to just give a quick update on the Pinkerton Start Time Committee. They met on the same day that we had our presentation, so unfortunately I was unable to attend because I wanted to make sure that I was there for that presentation. But I have had conversations with committee meetings, and then also there was all the reports. But basically, we reviewed the survey that we sent out to students, as well as one was sent out to parents, and actually 42.7% of the responses were from here in Derry, from parents, and from facility staff. Some of the next steps that we're going to be looking at is like the bus schedules and brainstorming ideas on how that's going to affect the other communities that send their students to Derry. Those are some of the topics that were discussed. And the next meeting will be on January 29th and 30th, or February 1st. We'll come to see. But we are continuing the productive conversations of determining, I know that in high school, I definitely did not want to be getting up. When I moved from West to Pinkerton, that was one of the hardest things, is Pinkerton starts so early. So I am very glad to see that we're actually questioning this and trying to see if this is the best start time. But there's a lot that rolls into that of parents, they work, and what does that mean for after school activities, and what does that mean for how you get home, and how does that, we understand that there's a lot of questions to y'all's day-to-day that changes your schedule, and we want to make sure that we give consideration for that and give it the due diligence that it deserves, and I feel like we are doing so in this committee and look forward to continuing it.
Was the survey only sent to Pinkerton families, or was it also sent to the 8th grade families?
It was sent to all of the schools that send students to Pinkerton. So Wyndham, Hampstead, all, like the whole list of schools. So anyone
But
in
do you
those-
know if it was sent to the 8th grade the 8th grade families that are currently not at Pinkerton, but in Derry and Hampstead, yeah, that will be freshmen next year?
I would have to ask for that clarification.
And I'm assuming that you're also looking at how it's going to impact our schools, because our middle schools start very close to the time that Pinkerton starts now. And then if they change their time to later, it could also impact our elementary schools and busing and.
Yep, absolutely.
all
Those
of
are
that.
all things that they're being
I just wanted-
discussed and having
I didn't
conversations
hear that
on.
said, so I just wanted to verify it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Agreed, Brenda. That's a huge concern of mine anyways, when we talk about that in our sending town meetings. So it'd be interesting to see what comes of it. I assume if any decision's made, we're talking down the road.
It's way
Okay,
down the
yeah,
line.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good. I don't think any other committee updates. I don't think we have any, right? We talked about facilities, so we have that on Thursday. The only other thing to say is before you guys leave, sign the manifest. All right, other business, anything anyone wants to discuss on the board? All right, so I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to,
It's our first by
Thank you,
Kearney,
John.
second by Paul, all in favor?
I don't want to leave.
All right, thank you, 6-0. Thank you for everyone for showing up tonight, appreciate it.